assistant of his, who's much more than an assistant, Grace Rwanda, she took care of Michael and came here in advance of him to check the place out. We got on really well with her. And she saw that, you know, how we work and all the food coming from the garden, you know, our meat, local produce and fowl and fish and, you know, what was on the menu. It was all good quality food. So she liked it and recommended it to Michael, and 2 days later, a big bus comes in and out comes Paris, Blanket, Prince, Michael, and Grace, and the teacher. So we set up camp here in Grouse Lodge. Kids immediately, you know, fell into playing with my kids. It was two happy families. We didn't tell anybody Michael was here. For months and months, he was able to chill out. It was a great time. He was mad interested in Irish music and the history of the area. So he felt really relaxed here. He'd be walking around, bump into him, say hello. He was a very funny guy, very humorous. Nobody believed it, you know. If somebody said, I heard Michael Jackson's there, I would say, yeah, and so was Elvis Presley, you know. And so it was strange. It was bizarre to have this biggest, you know, pop iconic artist in the world staying in a cowshed in Grouse Lodge, albeit it's all done up. Michael usually did his phoning upstairs and was able to walk out and make sure the kids are all okay. If there's 10 feet away is the garden, so it's close, contained, and safe. There wasn't this constant like people gawking at him. He was just walking around like any of the other artists, and he was given the time and the space just to be himself. Here one day, we were all playing out in the garden. It was a blissful day. The sun was shining. Dogs were playing, and next minute we hear this a really weird noise. I thought it was a tree crashing to the ground. Never heard this noise before. And Michael came out and goes, "Paddy, what's that sound?" I says, "I don't know, Michael." And he says, "Sounds like a dragon." And I says, "Yeah, it actually does sound like a dragon, but there's no dragons in Ireland." And then we heard it again, and it stopped. And we didn't know. The dogs were barking, the kids were all looking up. And then the next minute, right up from here comes this gigantic, beautiful, rainbow-coloured hot air balloon. You know, and a basket with, you know, people hanging out and waving down, and you know, it was, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. A whole host of kind of hot air balloons. It was like something out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It was extremely colourful, and we all were all excited, running around the place. The dogs were barking. Michael was going, "Woo!" You know, waving up at them. They were waving down. They didn't know it was Michael Jackson, though, you know. It was there was some blissful days here that we had. Some of the times I was here with Michael was when we'd be jamming just on a guitar. Michael would be on the drums, and nephew would be on the piano, and so on. And you know, you just start playing a song and getting a rhythm together, and slowly but surely, a nephew just creeped the song into do 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 like a Billie Jean, and it was just mad playing Billie Jean with Michael Jackson. You know, I didn't think I'd ever do that, or singing songs with him in the car. You know, I remember singing the song with Paul McCartney. You know that, you know, the girl is mine, the dog. And so, you know, singing songs like that, they were special moments. Things that you just didn't ever think that would happen. Or Michael sticking his head out the window and having a laugh with somebody in Dublin, you know, coming up to a traffic lights, you know, and they didn't know, you know, it's a gobsmacked that this guy sticking his head out the window is actually Michael Jackson, you know, on his way back down to Westmeath.
I think it was August 2006.
When you first met Michael?
Mm.
And did you know you were going to be driving that day?
Well, Paddy and Claire had told me that I was going to be picking him up, and I was like total shock and couldn't believe it, like, you know, really. And I was very nervous, you know, because it's the most famous musician in the world, like, you know, what do you say? So after I'd carried him and met him, we shook hands. He put his hand out to say thank you very much, and For that minute, it seemed like an eternity. I can't believe I'm going to be shaking hands with Michael Jackson. On one of the occasions when I'd be coming in here to do a message for Michael or pick somebody up, Michael would be in the fields with the kids on horseback, and he'd have a pair of Wellington boots and a raincoat, and he'd be leading them around, and that was great to see. You wouldn't think he was the best, the biggest musician in the world, you know, most known person. There he is leading the kids around in the field, and I think that's an absolutely beautiful thing to see. Like, you know, everything he did was for the children. You know, he centered around the children, that sort of thing. You know, Grace, that was with Michael, had asked me when Michael was coming here to live, would I be his full-time driver. He'd asked me, Grace said to me, Michael would like you to be his full-time driver when he comes here to live, you know. And when he left here, I was convinced I was going to see him again. He'd go up to visit people in Dublin. He was looking at properties to buy. He spent a lot of time going around the country looking at property. He'd go to Hill of Woodstock, and he'd go to Quebec and Locks Distillery, and then there'd be a lot of people coming down to see Michael as well. I'd bring them up and down. They'd be flying in their private jets. George Bush's Billy Bush from Access Hollywood, he came down to meet Michael. Actually, a funny story is Michael didn't want Billy Bush to know where he was in the country, so Michael says, Ray, will you bring Billy Bush on a cross-country tour, make him think he's miles away, right? You know, like, and he was only 2 miles down the road, and Michael says, bring him around, make him think that he's. So I was driving back roads just to make them think that they were far away.
I mean, if farmers around the area, if there was paparazzi started arriving, they would tell them the Grouse Lodge was in the other direction, or Coolator House is in the other direction. You're miles off the beaten track. It's 30 miles away. So that was brilliant. So there was a commute. The local neighbours were actually kind of boxing him off, clever from everybody, from all the paparazzi. So another thing he appreciated was the help and support that he was getting from people. He said, Paddy, the first time I've ever been in a house with no entourage, with no security, basically right outside my front door. So he was able to walk out and go for walks up the hill of Knockassia or Ishnok. He was able to go into town now and again. I brought him into the fish and chip shop, you know. Reporters were starting to get in here, so we'd moved them out of Grouse Lodge and up to Coolator House, which is a guest house. It's on the next estate across the road. And he loved that. We've got 2 Elvis Presleys. And the weird thing was when Michael was here, I met him one day, and I said, what's wrong, Michael? He looked a bit freaked out. And he said, Paddy, I just met my father-in-law, Elvis. And it's Elvis propped up against a tree. But the weird thing is there's 2 of them, so we met him again, you know, in another part. That really put him offside. So he was getting over the fact that the world had turned its back on him. The guy was fit, he was getting stronger, he was eating well. And then he says, I'm ready to start doing some music and meet and interact with musicians. And, you know, I reckon if he had lived here and stayed here, he obviously wouldn't have died. He would have continued to record, and he was getting stronger. And I think he was now going to come back out as he was to plan his return to the world stage.